I could share it on Facebook.
Yeah, it's.
This is the Black Powder Podcast, coming at you live and direct.
Your salty tears season my life. It's the Black Powder Podcast.
And yes, we are live. This is the Black Powder Podcast, the only real libertarian podcast that has ever existed. That was the remix right there. I am one of your hosts, Marcus Matthews, the only real libertarian, bringing you the only real libertarian perspective on this fine, I guess we're still in fall evening here in sunny
This is winter,
southern.
What's December? It ain't.
Winter is officially December 21st for all of my winter solstice fans.
Well, my wife just let me know it's snowing outside, so there's
Sweet.
that.
Congratulations on that. I believe snow should be in the mountains where God intended it, not in your front yard. So you can go visit it and bask in its ambiance, and then go home and drive normally on your streets. That's just my personal opinion. If you choose to live in snowbound areas, as a libertarian, I got to support that. And that being said, I'm joined tonight by my ever more handsome host, because the beard looks a little bit more pronounced and thicker since the last time.
It is time to get a shave for sure. But,
it's Eric Parker, Bold Liberty.
Yeah. Here in North Carolina, apparently it's snowing outside, so there's that. That's cool. Used to be in Florida. I'll hold it down. I don't think it's snowing in Florida, but
it may be, but a different kind of snow. Well, maybe not, because all those boats are being blown up. So it may be a snow-free Florida. Now, I don't want to make light on that. It's a horrible situation. But at any rate, I got a bit of a sniffles tonight, so just bear with me. It is not my normal Darth Vader, James Earl Jones self. At any rate, we're continuing our local candidate series. And this is, like I was saying before, the last ones, this is a critical race, not so much for the victory, but for the showcasing, because we didn't have a lot of victories. We didn't have as many as we liked. But we have to get these candidates out there and have them be seen. And social media is podcasts and whatnot is the current venue and avenue to do such. And I can think of no better podcast for libertarian candidates than the Black Powder Podcast, the only real libertarian podcast. And so we're going to take this to the great state of Eric. Do you like anybody in Kentucky? I'm just curious.
There's a couple of fellas and one lady. We're about to have her here. But there's some cool liberty warriors in Kentucky. You know what I mean? If I can find a decent job, I'd consider moving out there to real Appalachia. You know what I mean?
Real Appalachia.
Appalachia probably is how it's said. We'll get that from Wendy when she comes on.
And with that being
do you
said,
say it?
Tonight's guest is Wendy Higdon from the great state of Kentucky, running for state senate in District 37, I believe, which covers Louisville. See, I knew Eric wasn't going to say it right. I had this
Louisville. No,
I know. It's in Colorado.
All right. So
also,
Wendy,
with the how do you say Appalachia?
I was going to say, just like we have like 5 ways to say Louisville, we probably have 5 ways to say Appalachia. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it depends.
Sweet. So who are we talking to here tonight? And tell us about yourself for everybody out there.
Yeah. So my name is Wendy Higdon. I am running for the 37th District State Senate seat which is a large, probably like a quarter of Louisville or Jefferson County. And then in my past, I've been a part of politics before. I've been a libertarian for about 10 years. And that was after I ran the Louisville Tea Party as a Democrat and decided to switch the end of the night. So, but I'm a foster mom. By trade, I'm a surgical tech. I'm a senior surgical tech. My last position was on like overnight emergency shifts in a pediatric unit. But right now I'm focusing on my foster kids and my home life. And that kind of is what brought me to the race. We have a terrible public school system, just in general, and then dealing with it as a foster parent is even more horrific. So that's my main goal in entering this race.
That's already a super impressive. I kind of want to, and I didn't think about really getting into this, but more your personal life. How long have you been a foster mom? And that process, if you want to, how frustrating, and I don't want to get you in any trouble, but how frustrating it is to navigate the world of being a foster parent and the bureaucracy and everything that's.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it's definitely heightened my libertarianism for sure. But no, I've been a foster parent over 5 years. We adopted our first and oldest one in March of this year, and she's been here for 5+ years. And then right now I have one other, and she's 10. But I mean, dealing with, not only just the bureaucracy of it, but just kind of like, just the entire system being flawed, and not a single part of it feels like it's actually for the benefit of the children. It's more like, you have to we have to dot the T's and cross the I's and blah, blah, blah. And, like, it's all just a runaround. And at the end of the day, the kids are the ones that are suffering. And then dealing with like the public education system in that, because these kids are usually behind, have a lot of mental health issues, have a lot of trauma, have a lot of, they're getting stuck in a random person's home and then expected to go to school 2 days later. Like, did you think that they were going to just be fine and walk into school and go, "Hey, I'm the new kid. Yeah. I'm cool," Like, no, they just moved into a random stranger's house, got taken from their homes, went to a new school, all their friends are gone, all their people are gone. Anyways, nobody really thinks about like the experience from the kid's perspective.
Yeah. That's tough.
And that's as a candidate, is that one of your main focuses that you're advocating for and putting that message out there?
I would definitely do that. I've actually had a little secret, like everywhere I put my signs, there's a lot of foster parent signs out and around, trying to recruit foster parents. So I'm like, I'm going to put my sign right next to every sign for a foster parent organization. And then if they see me, they see a foster parent organization too, just in case they want to step in,
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
And I want to point something out. We posted the link to your donate link. We posted the link to donate to you up on the screen right now.
Thank
and
you.
That's wendy4ky.com/donate. A lot of people, libertarians around the country, you can't vote for Wendy, but you can support her candidacy. And, we need to be more of a village in the Libertarian Party, to use a African colloquialism. But we need to push these local candidates and get them the exposure. We were kind of successful in that. We got 3 people that were on here got elected. So we want to make it 4 with Wendy. So with that being said, Eric, do you want to get into your first questions?
Yeah, really, can you kind of describe the political landscape of your district? Are you running against an incumbent? If so, what's their political party? Is the race partisan? All of the nuts and bolts to your campaign, really.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a special election. Our state senator was a Democrat, the incumbent, and he got chosen to be an interim county clerk in Louisville because our county clerk passed away. So he had already expressed interest, and I guess he was just the easiest person to slip in there, right? And now he's the incumbent instead of having to run for the seat, right?
Gotcha.
So anyway, so that makes this race, not only was it only like 8 weeks long, which is weird, but there's no incumbent, and none of the three of us have ever been in politics before. We're all kind of like regular people. So that has made it an interesting race. It is a primarily Democrat district. The Democrats have held this seat since like the 40s, like 1948 or something. But they also keep kind of redistricting it and like gerrymandering it to keep it that way. So it just had a redistricting like 2 years ago, which cut out a lot of the older kind of conservative neighborhoods, along the edges. And then the Republican is the one who ran against the incumbent in the last election. But then there's also been some blog posts come out about him that were not favorable. So he hasn't really been campaigning that much, it doesn't feel like. So this is definitely a winnable race, or at least an interesting race, that's almost up for grabs.
Yeah. And I would imagine with your backgrounds, you said you founded or you were a volunteer with the Louisville Tea Party?
I founded the Louisville Tea Party. Yeah, I had the first tax day rally in April 2009.
So does that mean you did that while you were a member of the Democrat Party? That was over how many years ago? I mean,
I didn't understand. I was 24 and I didn't understand that was like a faux pas thing to do.
Yeah, well, and I was just wondering, like, was your local Democrat Party friendly to libertarian ideas that long ago? Not at all. They were just like, what?
No,
what
I just, as like an 18-year-old, knew that I was not completely aligned with my parents, right? Like socially and, things like that. I mean, in the early 2000s, that was a big deal. All the social stuff happened, And I was just like, no, I don't think that's me. So I just went the other way. But honestly, I think I've only ever voted for one Democrat, and it was John Kerry, my first presidential election.
Gotcha.
After that, I did research.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, and so, I mean, like, I've registered Republican whenever I turned 18, and I stayed registered Republican because of Ron Paul and Rand Paul through 2020, and then switched to libertarian after that. So there's no hard feelings about what you registered to vote as at the age of 18. And I'm really happy that, obviously you were grounded in libertarian thought, being there to start a Tea Party. I just think that's very unique that there was founded by a Democrat.
Yeah.
If it still exists, I don't know if it does, but if it's still active and still exists, it's probably a bunch of conservatives, which is okay.
It is. It does still exist, and it is.
And I guess what I'm getting at is if you stayed involved with them, I bet you're going to get a lot of support from those actual conservative voters. So that's going to be a good thing. That's going to look good in your favor. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of a little bit of both, right? That I've been a Democrat before, so in a Democrat district that kind of looks good, but I'm also a little concerned. I have something for everybody,
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to say. Like, I don't know. Sorry, Marcus, go ahead. But I don't know how much door knocking you did, but that helps in conversation too. Whenever you tell someone I'm neither a Republican nor Democrat, but in my past, you could explain I was a Democrat that founded the Tea Party. And the local Tea Party, you know what I mean? So that's unique. Go ahead, Marcus. Sorry.
Well, what was the pivotal moment where you said, okay, I'm going to register as a libertarian and run as a libertarian? What was that epiphany that you had?
I mean, running the Tea Party as a Democrat and as a young person was, pretty difficult. A lot of people didn't really take me seriously. And, But I held my own. But the pivotal moment was really, I had run for office in 2012 before as a Democrat. It was for a state house seat, and I really only ran because the guy had been an incumbent for 12 terms without being opposed. And like not by a Republican, not primaried, nothing, had never been opposed. And I just thought that was stupid. So I ran against him. I was like, I mean, at least people will have another choice, right? But anyway, so then a couple years later, in a Mitch McConnell ad against Matt Bevin, and I don't know how much you guys know about our state, but he was the governor, ran for governor. He was the governor, but before that, he ran against Mitch McConnell, and he donated to my campaign during that time. And so Mitch McConnell's ad was like, you know, that he donates to liberal Democrats, and plastered my picture in the ad. And I was like, this is like ridiculous, like ridiculous. And then I started learning about like fair and equal election laws and how rigged the system is. And almost just on principle, I was like, well, I just have to join that, what I really am, because that's what it is. And ever since I have voted Libertarian, every time people have told me I'm wasting my vote on one side or the other. And I'm like, if everybody would just actually look and vote on their principle, we would have a totally different situation. But that doesn't happen.
And therein lies my everyday frustration when I turn on the stupid box, because I like to see what everybody's talking about. And all I hear is, well, this team over here, they're going to do this, that, and the other thing, and that's going to make your such and such more expensive, or something's going to happen to your kids. And then you flip the channel, and it's the same message, just in going in the other direction. Yeah. And I'm like, why can't Americans like take a step back and look at that bigger picture? And then, like, is there a viable alternative? Oh, yes, here we are, the Libertarians. And look into it really, because, you know, the Democrats and Republicans have done a great job of defining what Libertarians are. And they make them, you know, all they do is sell fear in the first place. But they do a damn good job is selling fear about a Libertarian in office. But we're here to change that negative, and it starts with local candidates like Wendy. So I wanted to get to your platform and have you speak to what you actually, how you would actually legislate. Like, when you get elected, what's the first like piece of legislation that you would want to introduce?
I only have a couple of points that I've been putting out there because they're like the main points, and honestly for a whole term, and if you're doing it correctly, you don't want to be a politician for the rest of your life. So the Jefferson County Public School thing is a really big deal, and I know that you guys don't live here, but if you look it up, it is a disaster. I mean, kids riding the bus for 2 hours to get to school. Last year, one of the kids didn't get home until like 10 p.m. on the first day of school because it was so jacked up. Like, we have like 300 teacher vacancies when we started this year. So there's just nobody to teach the class. There's sometimes literally it's just a TV screen. There is no teachers. We have like $188 million shortfall because they included like COVID money and grants in their general budget. There is 7 school board members for a city of almost 1 million people. Like, we have 28 Metro Council members and 7 school board members. There's zero transparency. It's top heavy. It literally is not serving the children in any way. And then now they're talking about, to cover that shortfall, they're going to close schools. They're going to close some of the top performing schools, or the ones that are in the lower areas, right, that nobody wants to go and deal with, unfortunately. So my proposal, number one, and this is literally why I'm running, is to take on JCPS. But my proposal would be to split up the school district. We have over 100,000 students in our school district. Our budget is bigger than the entire city of Louisville's budget for the school district. We're paying like 20 something $1,000 per kid a year. It's outrageous. So my plan would be to cap student enrollment levels, and that would kind of force JCPS to break up into smaller school districts, more local sized, more local representation, more transparency, because then you have more local parents involved probably, and not just 6 or 7 high up people. I don't even know if any of them are parents on the board, like it's just like, I don't know. Anyways, so that is number one, first and foremost. My plan for JCPS is to at the state level.
Yeah, before you move on to your
Sorry,
next
go
topic,
ahead.
can we kind of dive in on this subject matter? Because this seems like it's, like you said, it's your top number one issue. I think for a lot of, look, I'm a new dad. I am navigating not yet. I mean, our daughter is in daycare right now. It's privatized, so, navigating that thought process as libertarian about private school versus government school. And regardless, I don't want government schools to be, if they're going to exist, and they do, I don't want them to be substandard. And I love your idea about localizing it by smaller districts, because that does kind of decrease the bureaucracy. The problem with bureaucracy is whenever someone so far away is making the decisions and they don't know the community, for example. They don't understand where they live. They don't know the environment, the family, the kids, the issues on this side of town and that side of town are different. And especially whenever there's a 2-hour bus ride from this side of town to that side of town. If you make your district smaller, your bus routes might get smaller. I hope by now, after the first day of school, that they kind of figured out bus routes a little better. I don't know.
Last year it was terrible all year though. And actually this year we have 3 different start times. So if you're a parent with 3 or 4 kids, you might have one kid going to school at 7:40, one kid going to school at 8:40, and one kid going at 9:40. My kid goes to school at 9:40. Like it's almost 10 a.m.
Yeah,
she wakes up at 6 a.m. Like she wakes up at 6 a.m. and is like, "Mommy, I'm ready." I'm like, well, you got 4 hours till we go to school, girl. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like they tried to solve it. It's just not in a way that's sustainable. Like people work, and then they don't trust the bus system. So then they're picking them up or waiting in hour-long lines to pick up your kid because you don't trust the bus system. I don't know. It's just all out of control.
Right.
Definitely. Go ahead, Marcus.
Because the school district here where I live, we're about 27,000 kids. And then we have the mega school district in LA USD, which is, I think they're 500,000 or something like that. I'm not sure of that number. But the local control, that's such a grand idea because LA Unified has those same problems. They have schools spread out over, I think the city of LA is close to 500 square miles, and they have one school district.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I don't see why that should be so controversial as a libertarian idea.
Well, I mean, that's and I don't want to get into the problem with the Libertarian Party and the problem with philosophical libertarians and trying to take the libertarian philosophy and apply it to real life. But look, libertarian philosophy doesn't exist in a vacuum. We're not in a libertarian utopia yet. We could slowly work to get there. And you could start by localizing before you move to privatize.
Yes.
But I feel like a lot of I feel like a lot of people I was getting some reverb in my headphones. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not.
Yeah, I can. I'm trying to see all the
I don't know. But either way, I digress. That to me is a great focus, especially if you know that this is an important problem to the voters in your community. And for most
Yeah.
people, most normal voters, that is one of the number one issues, if not the number one issue. And for most state governments, it is, and local governments for that matter, it is the most expensive part of government. It's the biggest budget item. I don't know. It's either that, and sometimes it's Medicaid, Medicare, healthcare, that sort of thing. At the state level, and I'm sure you can probably get into that. You've probably looked at the numbers and you know what the state budget looks like. So, but Marcus or Wendy, if you want to respond.
I don't know if I know it that detailed. I do know that we have technically a surplus, but that's only year to year. We have a $68 billion debt. So even though Andy Bashir keeps saying we have a surplus, we don't actually have a surplus. But I don't know it line itemed or detailed. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm just kind of like a regular person. And even though I was in politics before, I got so jaded by it, I just kind of quit for a while. And quit caring and just hold back up and focused on my own, my own stuff. So it's only recently that I've been kind of back, into things, looking at things, and then just really frustrated with the education system. But obviously there's other problems here. So, yeah.
Now, is your police force the M Metro Police Force, LMPD or whatever it's called?
Yes. Yeah.
And is there any I think you had mentioned criminal reform, criminal justice reform. I know.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, sorry about that. Hold on. Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
No, I just want to know about your criminal justice reform.
I mean, basically, a lot of people, because we don't you lose voter rights, felons in Kentucky, basically lose a lot of their rights once you have a felony charge. And then it's really hard to expunge your stuff, and kind of get back, to being a full citizen again. So that was something that came to my attention because of the voters and what people were talking about. As I got out here, that wasn't something on my radar when I started. But then the more I got asked about it, the more I was like, no, that's, and then obviously as libertarians, the victimless crime thing, the over jailing, the strain that's going into county budgets to, have to house people. Some of them are at 150% capacity, stuff like that. So it just kind of put it on my radar that was an important issue. So I don't necessarily have legislation yet for that. Just, the viewpoint that if people serve their time, then they should be able to be reinstated to full citizens. If, parole should probably be maybe a little easier to get, and then the victimless crime thing and the drug war and the, all that stuff, just full libertarian points there.
All right. So I'm going to mute your mic when I talk because I think that's it. But the reason why I brought up the criminal justice reform is because you can link the two, going back to the previous subject matter, which is education, because there's a direct correlation between criminality and reading level, whether it be fourth, fifth, or sixth grade reading level. And a lot of people tend to disconnect the fact that when you fail kids in so many ways, when you're responsible for educating them, and if the government's going to be responsible for educating them, it better be excelling, like Eric alluded to. If this has to exist, And unfortunately, as a libertarian, I'm about to catch wreck because people say I'm not a real libertarian. But I think it does have to exist because there's a segment of our society that even if you gave them money, that they would be spending the tax money that they give to public school to them to send them to a private school, they still wouldn't be able to afford the private school because a lot of states, $20,000 a year for a student, you may not get into a good private school. And what you're going to do is you're going to get into a for-profit school, and that's not necessarily the solution. So
Well, and I was just going to say, like, I think a better argument would be if, for example, most states, it's in their state constitution. I know Florida, I don't know about North Carolina, that the government is required to provide education. So even if you're going to be a libertarian, you better work on changing your state's constitution to make it a non-requirement. I mean, I'm saying if you're going to be, an ANCAP, if you're going to take it to the extreme, you're probably going to have to lobby your government or lobby the people in your state to change your state constitution. So, and that, I'm not saying that's not worth the fight, but I'm just saying that would be the argument. You'd say, well, like, while it is still required by our state's constitution to provide an education, if it is, you should look that up first, then let's make sure that they're not being offered a crappy education. And that's the thing is, like, I'm not asking for Rhodes Scholars here in every public education system. All I want to do is just be above average. And if you look at, I don't know how much the state can get involved with getting away from the Federal Department of Education control of state education and the curriculum. But if we could separate ourselves from the money, then you could separate yourselves from the curriculum. And then you would see, because ever since the creation of the Federal Department of Education, test scores, IQs, reading levels, mathematics, everything has dropped since its founding. It's only gotten worse. So, like you said, getting more localized, get away from federal, try to get it as local as possible. I think it's a great idea. And then back to the criminal justice reform. I remember whenever I ran for city council, there was a guy walking down the street. I was asking for signatures, and I asked him for a signature, and he said, I would sign it, but I can't vote. But I just want to know, how do you feel about, he's like, I'm a prior felon. How do you feel? And I feel like, look, if you've been, if you've served your time, you served your punishment. And if you're not, in my opinion, and this might not be, if it's a nonviolent crime, and you're not a, sex offender or any of that you got to be on it, I think you should have all your rights given back to you. You know what I mean? But also, if you are paying taxes and you've served your time, why shouldn't you be able to vote? If you're being trusted to be out, why wouldn't you be trusted enough to vote, in my opinion? And I feel like that's a pretty libertarian message.
Wendy?
Yeah, God, there was a lot there. But God, that's such a good point about criminal justice reform going hand in hand with improving education, because that is exactly it. And to the point of the Constitution, my kids actually have to go to a state school. So I cannot homeschool them or put them in a private school because they are state children. So I have to deal with JCPS. I do not have another option. And so to that point, I do think it's required, right? That kids have to get some sort of education. Now, if I can homeschool them, you can basically do as you please. You just have to prove that they have, met the standards. But Jefferson County Public Schools does not meet the standards. If you look at most of our scorecards, I think only 70% have a graduation and a post-secondary rate. There's oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. The reading and the math levels, the proficiency of reading and math just in general, if you look at the scorecards, is 20 to 30%. They can read and do math at their grade level proficiently. It literally is horrendous. Like, and getting these kids that are already a little bit behind. Like I was having the one that we adopted, she's 17 now, but she came to us at 12, and she had to do like preschool first grade, like tracing exercises to kind of get her writing down, and like, I mean, literally like basic thing. And this girl was 12, just being passed along in the public school system. Like we're literally just not helping American society in any way. And none of these kids have any kind of like expectations, social expectations. Like, I mean, they're literally, and my daughter is just begging them to try. Like, if they try, they get to try it as many times as they want to. There's no more taking a test and that's it. That's just, you know, like you were either ready or you're not, and you failed or you didn't, right? Like now it's like, oh my God, but you know, if you took it the first time you were supposed to, I'll give you as many chances as you want. Literally, I've heard this. And it literally is just creating a society that like they can almost do whatever they want to. Like they have no expectations. There's no discipline. There's no like thought about what the repercussions are going to be, the consequences long term, nothing. So anyways, I went on a tangent there, but just
No, you're good.
That's such a good point that they go hand in hand. But you're right, the system exists. Like you have to work within the system that we have currently in order to change it. And that's how I always was with the Tea Party too. Like it doesn't matter what the system is today, you have to work in that system in order to affect it, right? Like you can't just be like, oh, I wish it was like this. Well, it's not like that right now. Yeah, so I'm just trying to go in and just be a normal person, honestly. Like I don't even think hardly anybody in legislature is just a normal civilian anymore.
Right.
That's a great
So
point.
I just wanted to make one more point about education, because I think that's your lane. I think you could really resonate with people if you put that message out there and let them know your thoughts on it. And I will say this, full disclosure, I do work for a school district. It is that same way everywhere, where I know of at least 6 kids very personally that failed their freshman and sophomore years in high school, and all 6 of them graduated on time because they were handed a packet and says, here, complete this packet. It's 15, 25 pages. Okay, you passed freshman English. And that was so on and so forth for every single class. Jeez. And when they went out there in the real world, you know, I thank God that they made some things of themselves. But I think about the kids that didn't have a support structure in place, like your foster kids that fall through the cracks, and then something bad happens to them. Their mind goes sideways where they have mental issues because they never got that help. Then they commit a horrendous crime on TV or closed circuit TV, and everybody is like, what the hell's going on? And what happens, my fellow libertarians, is we lose more liberty and freedom every time a heinous crime is committed, because the government's going to come in and say, if we don't have this power to protect you, this is what happens. And it scares the ever-living crap out of everyday Americans to the point where they're fine with the government stepping in as their big daddy. I'm going to just go ahead and put that out there. Inside joke. But they're fine with the government coming in as their big daddy. And I look at it and I was like, this is where it starts. This is where we have to begin. If you don't like obviously mentally ill people doing heinous crimes, we can't look at that after the fact. We have to start dissecting how did we get to this point. And when you start dissecting it, inevitably you're going to go back to education. That is 100% true. Education, and that great people like Wendy who bring kids into her home that were in the system, so she knows firsthand what the system does and what government does. And until we get government out of our way, that classic libertarian trope, but it's true. I mean, and that's what the libertarian message has to get out there. Wendy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Spot on. Well, since we were talking about like my platform pieces, the only other one that I have, besides the school thing, that's really my only one that I, like that was like I was like, if I can talk about JCPS, I'm in. So we also included, because the Republicans in our legislature are like slowly decreasing in an effort to have no state income tax. So that is positive that I would join on. And then I've gone a step further to say that I think there should be no property tax on primary homes that are less than $1 million or less than, I don't know what it would be, but like primary residences, like basically that you should not be taxed to live life, right? Doctor's appointments, food, your house, all that stuff should be tax free, in my opinion. Sorry. So that really is the only other kind of point that I have out there that has like specific like details to it. So yeah, but it's basically just general libertarianism and me just being a normal person, like a mom, a wife in a normal middle income family, making it in this crazy atmosphere that we have out here, and seeing everybody struggle with it. Everybody is struggling with it. And I mean, neither side seems to have had the answers so far, or we would be in a better situation. So I just really felt passionate about giving people a choice. Ballot access in Kentucky for libertarians is not easy. And we don't get involved, like we don't get invited to be like in a primary or anything unless there's a libertarian primary. So we're kind of shut out of the process. So, if I can bring some light to like a couple of things I'm passionate about, I was like, yeah, I'll join.
So, the political landscape of Kentucky, would you say, I know where you're at, your district's very Democrat, leans left, leans blue, if you will. But what about the rest of the state? Don't you have a Democrat governor, but probably, my guess is, and I know you got two Republican national senators, what are federal senators in Congress. But what about the state legislature and the state Senate? And I guess anything locally that there might be the occasional Republican slip in locally?
Yeah, we actually in my Metro Council district just had a flip to a Republican, and that was pretty rare. And then as far as the state legislature goes, the Republicans have a super majority. So even though we have a Democratic governor, we have a Republican super majority both in the Congress and the Senate. So he, like Bashir, has vetoed some things that have been overturned. So that's an interesting case too that you don't see, out in national politics hardly ever. So we are pretty much a red state. But then, there's also like Lexington and Louisville probably are mainly the areas, but Louisville is heavily liberal, like very heavy. Yeah. Like I probably have the best chance down here in like the south of Louisville where we're heading towards like E-Town, like outside of Louisville, down like south of Louisville. So
how receptive are your voters in your district to the message of less taxes. Specifically, you mentioned the cutting of the sales tax and the elimination of the property taxes on your homesteaded home, the home you live in. How receptive have the voters been, or do you perceive even like Democratic Party members to that message, if any?
Yeah, I mean, almost everybody is receptive to that. I mean, and once I get kickback, then I mention all the ways that we're taxed, which are not just our income tax or our sales tax, but we're taxed like 5, 6, 7 times on a single thing. Sometimes you just don't see it at the end of the day, right? You're getting taxed when you're getting paid, and then you get taxed when you buy it, and then you're going to get taxed again when you have to use it, and then you have to, like, I got to put gas in it, that's another tax. Like, you're getting taxed like 6 or 7 times on the same thing. We have a lot of stuff that, because we pay like state taxes every year on like our automobiles, so that's another part of that plan. Your primary vehicle under a certain level would be tax free, but we pay yearly sales tax. Almost like, they don't call it sales tax, they call it like vehicle registration tax, but it's basically sales tax for the value of our vehicle every year. So
even if your vehicle was paid off.
Yes,
that's correct. I mean, that's the same thing here in North Carolina.
Yeah, it's super wild. So
I just
most
paid $400.
But I'll be real honest, I had to get because I had to get 100 signatures to be on the ballot, where like a Republican or Democrat only had to have 2 signatures to get on the ballot. So I ended up getting like 160 because they always throw some out. But I got almost every single one of them by saying, I'm going after JCPS. And they said, where do I sign? It didn't matter who it was. It didn't matter who I was. Where do I sign? And so that's been really the most, receptive thing, is everybody is tired of JCPS. And even if you don't have a kid in it, you're the taxpayer paying it. Oh, and another point for Jefferson County Public Schools is that they can raise our property taxes every year by 4% or up to 4% without like referendum, like without a vote, without asking, without letting the public know. Like, they can raise our property taxes every single year by up to 4% and have been every single year.
That's crazy.
So I get in and kind of tell people about, like, it doesn't really matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Like, the way that our system is operating is outrageous to everybody involved. So most people are receptive to that, unless they're staunch on one side or the other, because I don't know. Some people.
Quick, I got a question. And I don't know if you have the answer to this, but it sounds like you send your kids to the absolute worst bureaucracy that I could ever think of as far as an educational entity. Do you know how it got to this point?
Well, a little bit, because we were going after JCPS when I was in the Tea Party too. Again, for that, raising the property taxes 4% every year situation. But we have never had really great results. At that time, I think we were like 48th in the country education-wise, and JCPS is the lowest in the state as well. So I don't know where we still have kind of like busing, like almost segregated busing, like to try to mix people up. Like, there's just a lot of things that have like trickled down even from like the 80s and the 90s that just keep adding to it instead of trying to back up and go, wait, that's not really what we're doing, So I don't know exactly where it started. We do have a new superintendent this year. But those guys are making almost $500,000 to run the school because it's so big. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know if I understand it fully how we got in this position. Now I do know all the budget stuff recently is because they added the COVID funding and a couple of one-time grants that they got to our general yearly budget. And then this year, like 5 years later, we're like, oh, well, that didn't work out. And now we're $188 million short. And they promised they weren't going to touch the students' experience, but their first plan is to shut 6 schools. One of them is the teenage pregnancy school. One of them is the after incarceration school where they can get credit recovery and go to trades instead of do general high school stuff. 2 of them are in the West End where they're kind of, low income areas. I mean, just the whole plan is just on all of the people that need it the most. In my eyes, I was like, are you serious? They're going to shut the only pregnant teenage school down? They're going to shut the only one down that lets you do a trade as your schoolwork instead of what? These are all things that people need.
Well, I can tell you why that's going to happen, because they did something similar in this local school district. Is because the people that attend those schools, the parents and whatnot, don't have the money to hire good lawyers and will never be listened to. So that
I would think and I don't know. I thought it was kind of weird that they would have a pregnant teen school, but I understand why. It'd be very difficult to focus and study if you're a pregnant teen going to school.
Yeah.
And I think
we have one of those too.
Well, and to your point about the trade school, I think it would make sense, and Larry Sharp's got a great idea about that. Make the trade school open to anyone, not just people getting out of juvie or whatever. I'm assuming juvie if it's high school, public school, but make it applicable to anyone that knows, hey, I'm not planning on going to college. I just want to go get a job as a diesel mechanic or a welder. Could you help me get my welding certification in high school so I can get a job at the age of 16 or 17 because I know I'm not going to college? Why is that so difficult? And I will answer the very same question. It's the Federal Department of Education, and they're getting in the way of it. And there's other reasons, states come up with their own curriculum, but they get federal funding by doing what the Fed tells them to do. The Fed Ed tells them what to do. So I digress.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're teaching to take a standard test instead of teaching people's skills and abilities and interests. And, my kids are never going to be high achieve. And that's okay. It's okay to go out there and get a job and have a nice fine life for yourself. It's okay. It's okay to go to a trade. It's okay to take pride in putting cement bricks together, right? People need houses. It's okay. We've created this whole scenario that, and it's money. It's all money, right? It's all money funneling.
All right. So I want to we posted the link again because we're going to start wrapping this up. Wendy4ky.com/donate. Like I said, you don't have to, you may not be able to vote for her, but your dollars can help her. And so put your money where your memes are. Let's get this done for Wendy. Eric, do you have anything that you want to ask her as we close out?
Have you ever met Thomas Massey or Rand Paul?
Yes, I actually, because Rand Paul did the first Tea Party in Bowling Green. So I did the first one in Louisville and he did the first one in Bowling Green. And so I actually have met Rand Paul quite a few times along the path, and we helped him get elected, and he has sat down with us for policy stuff before. So that was really cool. I've met Thomas Massey, but not as often, but I feel like I know him more because he's more local and more outspoken on the, I'm actually friends with him on Facebook. So That's kind of cool too. But no, it was kind of like a past life, right? Like I feel I've come back into like my past life, you know?
That's cool. I'm Jelly. Thomas Massey does follow me on X, and he's liked and shared. I don't know if he's ever shared anything, but he's liked some of my stuff on X. So that's just, I'm fanboying, even though I'm living vicariously through you right now. So, but with that being said, I keep doing your thing. Stay involved. I'm hoping that first off, you're going to win this. We're going to have a libertarian in office, and you're going to stay involved in the party. If you do win, or regardless, we'd like you back on with an after action review sometime after the campaign season, whenever you resettle. If you want to come on and talk to us about like, what worked, what didn't, what you're going to do next time you run, because I hope you, regardless, either serve how many ever terms till you're term limited. If there's no term limit, self-term limit, and then run for something else. You know what I mean? But I want you to stay involved in the liberty movement, stay involved in the Libertarian Party. Let's go get this W. Oh, and what is the date of the election, by the way?
Yeah, the date of the election is December 16th. So it's literally like less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah. So everyone, I'm sure Wendy's got some last minute expenses for her campaign, whether it's texting. I bet, and I'm assuming early voting's already started. If not, it's going to start soon. So if anything you can give to her, she's going to spend wisely to get the word out and get these votes and bring in that W for the Libertarian Party.
Yep, I sure will. Yeah, we've been spending it wisely so far. So I'm interested at the end to see kind of the vote per, like how much people spend per vote or whatever, because I did pretty good at it last time. So we'll see.
All right. So my closing question, is there any chance that you could reach out to Rand or Thomas and tell them to come on the Black Powder podcast, the only real libertarian podcast that has ever existed? Can you do that for us?
If I still had contacts, I would hope for like an endorsement or something, but I did not still have contacts.
It's all good. I jest, but if you can do it, I'm not kidding.
No, it'd be cool. We ask that of every guest from Kentucky we have on, but yeah. I think you might be you're the second, because we had TJ on.
Yeah.
But
do you know him? What was it? TJ Robert? Was it Robert?
Robertson? Is that it? The state legislator Robertson, I think. Dang it. He's a redhead, ginger. He's in the seat Thomas Massey held as the state legislator, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. Subby up like
TJ
Cincinnati.
Roberts, that's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, I digress. We've had him on, and we asked the same thing, and he didn't follow through. But anyways, it's fine. He was a good guest. Yeah, you were a great guest also. Better, I'll say that, because you're a big L, real L Libertarian Party member. So this has been great. I really enjoyed it, Marcus. Or Wendy.
Wendy, we're letting you have the last word, so have at it. Let everybody know where they can reach you, what they can help you with, and whatnot.
Well, obviously, Wendy4ky.com's got everything on there. If you know anybody in Louisville, I'm sure they know somebody in the South End. It's a huge area. Lots of regular, families, regular homes. So I'm sure if you know somebody in Louisville, somebody's in the South End. But honestly, just thank you guys so much for giving me the opportunity to come on here and talk about my race, because it's just so important. I always say that local politics is way more important than national politics, because that's where you can get small change, progressive change, actual progress change started. So I'm just excited. I'm excited to be back out here, and I will stay involved for sure. And I appreciate you guys.
Well, we want to thank you for coming on. Thank you, Eric. Asked Wendy to stay on after the intro so we could connect a little bit on the next steps and whatnot, so we could help out any way we can. Eric, do you have any last words before we cut this out?
Wendy, this was great. Thank you for accepting our invitation. I really enjoyed it.
Also, likewise, Wendy, you're awesome. You really, honestly, you touched my heart tonight because you're just a good person. Being a foster parent, that you're a saint. You should already have a engraved parking spot with Wendy Higdon, a gold plate in heaven. Because I see people that work with kids that have issues, and that's why I do what I do, because I love to contribute to society. And when I see people like you that do that, it inspires me to keep pushing. So thank you very much. And like I said, just stick around for a minute. It's like a minute outro. This has been the Black Powder Podcast. As we always say, when we leave this grand libertarian enterprise that we have put out there, live free or die.
Or die.
This is the Black Powder Podcast, coming at you live and direct.
Your salty tears season my life. It's the Black Powder Podcast.